I'm gonna challenge your perspective. Let's not look at it as if they're misbehaving. I'm gonna challenge your thinking here. Let's look at it as they're going through a hard time, and what can we do at home to get us through this bad time? Okay? That's a challenge. What if I told you your child has been using all their brain power, their flexibility, their emotional regulation, their ability to get things started every single moment they were at school, and by the time they get home, they're done. They don't have any more left in their bucket. In some circles, this is called executive functioning overload. It can be called executive functioning fatigue. At the end of the day, it means what's coming to you after school is a lot to deal with. I'm Nicole Santa Maria, occupational therapist, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what's happening in your kiddo's brain after school and how in just 5 minutes we can get them over this hump. So, executive functioning skills are what we all have that help us get things done, right? Whether we're a little baby, navigating the playpen, preschooler, elementary school, executive at Nike. We are depending on our executive functioning skills to get everything done. So your kiddo at school is using all of their executive functioning skills, probably all 7-8 hours that they're in school, from navigating friendships to paying attention in class to copying their notes to navigating the cafeteria line. All of these are using every bit of their executive functioning skills. And remember, emotional regulation, it's in there, because if we do not have emotional regulation, we can't really function that well. It's been proven and researched that if they don't have emotional regulation, their brain is not primed for learning, right? If they do not have emotional regulation, their brain is also not primed to be nice and or happy when they get home. In addition, a lot of the school day requires the kiddos to sit still in their little desk area, which further puts on the load for your executive functioning skills. And then to top it off, if your kiddo has any kind of learning difference, ADHD diagnosed, or maybe struggles with attention overall, their brain is working 3 times harder than everybody else's brain. So I hope this changes the perspective on how hard it is for us to transition from that, for the kids to transition from that school day to mom and dad time, sibling time, home time, whatever after school looks like. So that meltdown that's happening at the end of the day is not manipulation. They're not trying to manipulate the environment. They're not trying to be defiant. They're not being disobedient. That's literally their brain saying, we are done, and we are not doing not one more thing. If you've had a meltdown after school, let me know in the comments. And if you are the awesome adult watching this and you yourself has had a meltdown, let us know in the comments. So let's get into what we can do to prevent this meltdown from happening, right? This is always a conversation that I have with parents. Okay, so how much of a reset time do they get to have before they have to come back and finish their homework? Should they do all the homework right away and then have the break time? There's no straight answer for this. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna give you a couple of guidelines, and you're gonna have to plug them into your particular situation. So for example, the first one is just a simple 5-minute decompression, right? If you have the luxury that you live 3 blocks from school and you're home within 6 minutes of dismissal, you probably have more time than everybody else. But if you get to pick up your kiddo and drive 35 minutes in traffic, guess what? Your 5-minute decompression happens in the car, in the back seat. Let's not dismiss the value of car time. In today's society, the way things are, I live in a big, busy city. Traffic being the way it is, parents don't have the luxury of kind of wasting that car ride time. So I'm hoping this helps you be a little bit more intentional with whatever your after school looks like. Let's look at this as a sensory reset, right? We can introduce some heavy work, right? It looks like push-ups. It can look like jumping jacks. Any work that's gonna get those major, big muscles and joints getting some pressure in it. We're gonna use a hack. We're gonna use the proprioceptive system to calm and regulate and transition the body, okay? If you are in the car, clearly you can't do this. But we can't waste those 35 minutes in traffic, can we? No. So what has worked in the past for me is, remember, we're thinking heavy work. Sometimes a weighted blanket in the car during that transition time does magic for that car ride home. If you have a younger kiddo, their favorite teddy bear, they can hug and squeeze and kind of give themselves that proprioceptive input. A very popular one that I introduce when I'm talking to schools is a chair push-up. So you basically take your hands, put it wherever you're sitting, and you push down so that your butt lifts up off the chair. That might be something your kiddo can do in the car while they're still safely in their seatbelt. So those are some things you can do to reset the sensory system right away. And depending on the age of your kiddo, I would explain to them what we're trying to do. Oh, you know, all day long, let's take a little sensory reset. You guys can call it whatever you want. Sometimes the kids are actually really good at coming up with a fun name that works for your family. I would definitely do that 5-minute decompression before we get in there and start doing the download. What do we have to do for homework? How was your day? How was the test? Did you bring all your stuff? Let's try and get that 5-minute. Remember, we want that emotional regulation needs to be happy in order for it to be ready to do the next thing. So let's try and do that first, and then we can debrief about the day and did they bring all the things. Second part of this is let's get the right food, brain food, and the right hydration. I am not a nutritionist by any stretch. I know a lot about nutrition and I know a lot about sleep. Not a sleep expert, not a nutritionist. However, sleep, what you eat, and if you are rested, if your brain is well rested, if your body is nourished and your muscles are primed for movement, those are the foundations we all need to be able to function at school, after school activities, end of day, homework time, right? So sometimes they're so obvious, right? But it really, those three really will change so much about how your child functions and how we can prevent those meltdowns from happening. So get some hydration into them, even though I know now kids go around with water bottles and they're like emotional support water bottles, but we don't know if they actually drink anything. So hydration and some good brain-based, good nutritious food. If you can't get the nutritious food, whatever you can get into them, because these kids are starving after school. They're literally starving, which actually is a great thing to do during that car time, so the car time's not wasted. If we manage to get a snack for them and they can eat in the car time, by the time they get home, they should be a little bit stabilized as far as hunger and ready to do your afternoon. Okay, this one, I'm putting it in here, but I'm gonna leave it up to your discretion. If this works before, you gotta do whatever you gotta do in the afternoon. You may not have any homework in the afternoon, which is fine. So a period of unstructured, free play, chaos, and mayhem will do wonders for their emotional regulation system. So it can be a trip to the playground, if you guys have a trampoline, it can be a bike ride, just a place where their body gets hot and sweaty and just shakes off the day and shakes off that executive functioning fatigue that they come with. I will warn, if you have to go back and do some sit down time, this is where you're gonna have to discern. Some kids can't come back from that free play and go back to sitting down. I trust you guys, and if not, you can ask me, leave me a question right at the bottom when to do that free moving around time. And research shows us that connecting with the important adults in their life does so much for kids' emotional regulation. So connection is not, how was your test? Connection is not, did you bring your water bottle and your soccer clothes home from school? Connection is not, did you bring your math workbook, your reading workbook? Let me look at your backpack. What's in there? Did you forget this? You didn't turn this in? Did you? No, that is us kind of, being CEOs of our family. Connection time is just sitting next to them. Sometimes connection time is just your body. It can just be sitting next to them. It could just be a hug. It can be a sigh together. It can be anything about the weather. It can be about your doggy. It's just not a time where you are parenting them. It's just a time where you're sitting beside them. They're just next to you and you guys are both chilling. How was your day? Oh, okay, well, I had ice cream for lunch. Oh, I left my lunch at school. I left my lunch at home. I had to eat pizza for dinner. Whatever. You just want to keep it, how was day? I'm glad to be home. Connection time, very important. And it doesn't have to be long either. Why this works really good? Because you are doing something called co-regulating. So sometimes when the other person comes in off the street, off the school day, wild and crazy and just like ready to explode, your calmness and your breathing and your, if we want to call it energy, your regulation is a sign. We all have mirror neurons, is a sign to be like, hey, she's safe, I'm safe, we're all safe together. Co-regulation. So you are going to look for, after this 5 steps, which can be 1 minute each, doesn't have to be long, can your kiddo sit down and do their 15, 20, 30 minutes of homework? Do you see that they have less meltdowns? Remember, we are looking for improvements. We are not looking for every day of no meltdowns, because that's probably not going to happen. But if we look for, okay, this kiddo has a meltdown every day from 3:30 to 4:30, but this week they only had 4 meltdowns. That is, we're going to take the win. We're going to take the one day. That's 20% of a win. We're going to take it. But you got to be looking for it. So these are what we are looking for. If we see that we're only getting some improvement, we probably need to double down and really take a deeper look at what is happening with the executive functioning skills. Because remember, we're looking at executive functioning overload, right? So if we start our day, right now we're trying to mitigate the overload that happened during the school day. But sometimes we start our day in the morning having to really do a deep dive into our executive functioning skills, and our mornings are kind of chaotic. So we're already starting our school day with executive functioning depletion, right? So we need to dive deep into that morning routine. If we see that this after school reset isn't making as much improvement as we think it should be, let's go and check into the morning routine. And my next video is going to dive deep into that morning routine so we can make sure we make it as smooth as possible, so we do not really use a lot of our executive functioning skills, because we can set up a system so that the morning is smooth.